Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a super fascinating case study in vertical software. We are talking about Oneness ERP, which is this incredibly unique, highly defensible school operations platform. It was built specifically to solve the systemic software chaos that you often see in Southeast Asian bilingual schools. And what makes this story so compelling is that it isn't just about code, It's really the story of a tool built by a frustrated operator that somehow evolved into this massively scalable, legally fortified enterprise system.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the harsh reality of drowning in disconnected systems, then look at how Oneness provides one single system for literally everything. Next, we'll explore its built-in security and compliance, and finally, we'll unpack that proprietary defensible moat they've built. Let's get right into it.
All right, Part 1. Drowning in Disconnected Systems, the Software Chaos.
Before we even talk about the solution, we kind of have to understand the absolute chaos most school administrators are dealing with every single day. Founder Harvey T. Agravante actually lived this nightmare. He summed it up perfectly, saying, 3 years ago, our school ran on paper, line chats, and 7 different Excel files. I mean, just imagine that for a second. You're trying to run an entire institution, and leave slips are just vanishing. Attendance has to be manually retyped like 4 different times, and your payroll data, it's being pulled from spreadsheets that don't even match up. It's just massive, constant operational friction.
And that really hits the nail on the head. Because schools aren't failing from a lack of software. They are failing because they have way too much of it. You've got admissions over here on Google Forms, payroll over there in QuickBooks, endless communication in line chats, and zero integration. None of it talks to each other. So every single transition between these systems becomes this tedious, mind-numbing copy-paste exercise that basically invites human error.
Which brings us to Section 2. One system for everything, an end-to-end solution.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, the core philosophy here is simple but powerful. It's a platform built by an operator for operators. Harvey Agravante wasn't just a developer coding in a vacuum. He was the engineer and customer zero. This system wasn't built on abstract software theory. It was quite literally engineered to fix real, tangible workflows that were breaking in his very own schools, which created this incredibly tight, real-world feedback loop.
And the sheer scope of this single ecosystem is absolutely massive. We are talking about a true end-to-end replacement. One login gives you HR and payroll, which, by the way, actually includes automated 5 to 60-day immigration visa alerts, which is a lifesaver. It handles complex academics, like qualitative PLP grading and early years developmental checkpoints. Oh, and it also manages integrated door reader attendance and a complete 7-step admissions funnel with one-click enrollment. Just the whole shebang right there under one roof.
Let's make this concrete. Take a really specific daily workflow, like a 5-step leave approval chain. It goes from teacher to head of department to principal to academic coordinator all the way to HR. What used to be an absolute multi-step paper nightmare is transformed into this incredibly sleek, mobile-friendly process. Honestly, if you're a school with more than one location and even just a single HR person, the return on investment basically justifies the entire software on this leave approval chain alone. No joke.
18 roles. Now, why does that matter? Well, most generic, off-the-shelf school apps give you what, maybe 4 or 5 basic permission levels? Oneness ERP actually accounts for the true messy complexity of a real school hierarchy. It accommodates 18 distinct permission roles, all the way from the CEO down to directors, heads of department, teachers, and right down to the parents.
And just to be absolutely clear, this isn't just some shiny pitch deck idea or a theoretical prototype. This platform is battle-tested. It's running live, in production, across 3 separate campuses every single day. We're talking real student data, real payroll, and real parent communications.
All right, let's move on to Section 3, Built-in Security and Compliance. Built-in Protection.
This part is absolutely fascinating to me. A tamper-evident audit log. So what does that mean? Basically, if anyone attempts to rewrite history, let's say a disgruntled former employee tries to secretly change some attendance records, the cryptographic chain instantly breaks. Every single action is recorded with the SHA-256 hash of the previous entry. So if there's a gap, an automated daily verification flags that illicit edit immediately. It creates just an incredible layer of trust.
And consider their 2-phase staff offboarding workflow.
This is exactly what it means to be PDPA native. When a staff member leaves, their account is deactivated immediately on their last day. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it's anonymized only after the legal tax retention window is passed. Because it requires step-up authentication and an employee code confirmation, it literally closes out Thai PDPA audit findings right out of the box. Boom, done. The security baseline here goes way beyond what most schools are doing for their standard ISO posture. You've got Argon 2-eyed passwords, AES 256 GCM encryption for all that personally identifiable information, and mandatory two-factor authentication for senior roles. But here is the real game changer: multi-campus isolation. A principal at Campus A simply cannot see Campus B's data, even if they try to be sneaky and URL hop. Why? Because the system enforces that isolation deep down at the database query layer. It's not just hidden on the user interface. Data leaks between campuses are demonstrably impossible.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 4, a proprietary defensible moat, defensible strategy.
Now, building a highly functional tool is one thing, right? But protecting it is a whole different ballgame. The code base for Oneness ERP is entirely proprietary. They actively reject the open source model. By keeping this incredibly tight grip on the code, the platform maintains its strict regulatory compliance and its flawless operational integrity.
And that translates into these very pragmatic, uncompromising, almost anti-pitch software license terms. The license flat-out outlaws source-level copying, and get this, it even bans user experience reproduction. You aren't even allowed to feed the interface into AI models to try and reverse engineer it. Plus, sub-licensing is highly selective, handled strictly on a case-by-case basis.
This take-it-or-leave-it confidence even extends to how they demo the product. They have a strict policy. Private demo, no public sandbox. They don't just let anyone poke around a live test environment. Honestly, this acts as a final layer of security. It keeps snooping competitors completely out of the picture while signaling to serious operators that data methodologies are taken extremely seriously.
So it all really comes down to this. If your school's operations are still running on fragile spreadsheets and casual chat apps, are you truly prepared for the next era of data compliance? Seriously, think about it. When you see how a platform like Oneness ERP completely solves that chaos with structured workflows, deep database-level security, and a strict legal moat, it forces you to rethink the true costs of all that software sprawl. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions and keep learning. Catch you next time.